And I will be frank also, like, I don't mind saying this, like, I boycotted that Wake Up World show. I did not want to participate in it because I was not happy about the way that it was being handled internally from a reputation perspective. I felt that leadership did not care about how participating in something like that could affect the reputation of the talent that would be participating and be on the screen.
Welcome everyone to 15 Minutes in Esports, where we bring you updated information and insights with interviews involving people in the esports scene. Today's guest is Jacob Wolf, who is an award-winning journalist who has worked for ESPN for 4 years, but that changes today. Thank you for the interview, Jacob. Welcome to the interview here.
Thank you for having me, Blake. It's still a little surreal to hear that I no longer work for ESPN. I think it's been so much a part of my identity for the past 4.5 years that it's taken some time to wear off, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to take a while to wear off. I don't think that's something that goes away really easily. Starting it off with an easier question, I guess, is we've talked a lot together how we think the scene is going more towards, I would say, individual content creators. Question for you, being the hottest agent in the market, is this your plan to be an individual content creator, or do you want to get behind another publication?
I don't know yet. I have a lot of different options. You know, before the announcement last Friday, a week ago, my agent and I were talking to like 4 or 5 different places about what could be potentially next. We were already kind of looking for an exit plan from ESPN for January. And we ended up now having, I want to say like 20 inbound interest. And obviously like some of those are like things that make no sense, like people that just want me to full-time freelance for them and make pennies on the dollar on an article, which I'm looking for something full-time to commit to or something on my own. But I don't have that answer yet. I think that for me, what's going to come next is I'm going to take some time after this show on Monday. I'm going to take some time off. I'm going to spend some time with my family in Atlanta for Thanksgiving and drive there for the Thanksgiving holiday. And then I'm really going to take the next couple of weeks to kind of feel out what everybody has to offer and make my decision, I think, about 2 weeks before Christmas. That's the timeline I'm on right now.
I think that's very interesting. You mentioned with your agency that you had already kind of been looking at an exit strategy for January. I would say ESPN is considered the pinnacle for both sports and esports journalism for a while now, being one of the top of the line places you could go. One of the things I found interesting is that you actually announced that you were leaving, rather unlike a lot of others who announced that they were being let go. Was there an option for you to stay at ESPN?
No, there was not. I thought that there could be. But the reason I was really clear in my statement is that they called me last week and told me they weren't renewing my contract. But at that point, I was already resigned to leaving anyway. So what does it matter, right? Yeah. And honestly, it's made my life a little bit easier, if I'll be honest. Like, I don't want to dive super deep into it, but there were some contract things that were going to make it a little bit more difficult to get out in January. And those have all been waived yesterday with my termination. And now I don't have to worry about it. Like, I am a freelancer as of today. And so you'll be seeing the free agency show on Monday, which has been sort of my entire week. And that and meetings have been my entire week. And I'm super excited for that. But yeah, there was not an option to stay at ESPN there at the end. Although I thought there could have been potentially, but it's okay. I'm not really happy with how it ended. I'm proud of the work that we did over the past 4.5 years. I have a lot of growth to point to that's really tangible, both in my writing and in my video work. But overall, I'm not too thrilled with how that all ended, because it was very abrupt and it was not the most respectful of exits. I'll put it that way from their end, not ours.
Mm-hmm. So I want to ask you a little bit about ESPN before we delve into the free agency, which I also am very excited to get into. But I would say, at least from the outside perspective, it's kind of looked like there's been a pretty big shift in ESPN Esports over the last 2 years. And I would say it looked like it went from being more about journalism and maybe doing investigative journalism to more, for lack of a better word, fluff content or opinion content. Do you think that this is a correct assessment?
There's definitely a wider mouth of, particularly in the past year in particular, since the change in leadership, of more things that you see in traditional sports So like roundtables and power rankings and coaches polls and stuff like that. And while I think some of it was actually kind of useful, the other part of that that's really difficult and was really difficult was the fact that we had 4 talent, me, Arda, Tyler, and Emily. And when you have 4 people expected to do everything that a department does with 20 to 25 of those people, not including all the back end editors, producers, et cetera, that work with those 20 to 25 writers, it's really hard. That expectation was really difficult, I think, on all of us. And so I think your assessment is partly correct in the sense that there was an active change in the type of content we were doing. The mouth was opening wider to cover gaming more generally, less esports too. And from a performance perspective, like our work was doing better. But I will be like perfectly frank in the fact that like, and this is not a secret, like we haven't had a sponsor in 2 years. And I don't think that was from lack of interest because as you'll see pretty damn soon, the Evil Geniuses or Jacob Wolf's Evil Free League of Legends free agency show has 8 sponsors, I believe is the number in less than a week, by the way, of us agreeing to do this together. And like 48 hours, we have 8 sponsors. So I don't think it was from a lack of interest in the work that we were doing or the work that I was doing. I think it was the lack of know-how in terms of sales at ESPN to really figure out how to sell esports content when the people that were responsible for that primarily have been responsible for selling television and sports content as a whole.
I guess as a follow-up to that, do you feel like there was a disconnect from the sports side to the esports side? Because I feel like a lot of times people just try to implant sports stuff onto the esports audience, and I don't know if that really transitions very well. Is that what kind of happened?
Yeah, I think that you could say that. I think that there was a lack of understanding that the audience, the esports audience was significantly different. The way that you cover them has to be significantly different. The way that you interact with them is significantly different. Something I always point out, and I don't mean this as an offense to some of my former colleagues because I actually very much like their work. But if you look at my peers in football and basketball and other sports, the newsbreakers, right? Yeah. Scroll down their Twitter feed for a moment. And all you're going to see is breaking news, breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. Like it's just almost like a content bot, right? Like I could code a JavaScript thing that tweets the same tweets they're making, right? Like, and that's not esports. Esports is about personalities. These fans are younger. They want to feel like they're connected to their people, quote unquote. And part of that comes from the fact that like, if you're old enough and you're in this industry, you remember a time when you were bullied for being a gamer. And so you want to connect with people that are like-minded and like you on the internet. And so that's why it's important to build those personal connections. Don't talk at someone, talk with them, talk with your audience, engage them. And I felt in some of the content we were doing, based off of its parallels in traditional sports, we were talking at people, not with them. And so I don't think that the failings of ESPN are indicative of issues with esports media. I think it is indicative of the fact that you cannot cover esports like you cover sports and expect it to work long term because this audience is very different in the way that they engage.
Mm-hmm. And I think the way that the audience polarizes is also, we saw that with the content, the Good Morning talk show related to Avle, where the entire community was pretty outspoken about how ESPN was kind of handling things. And you just saw some things like that kind of made me worried about ESPN in general. So I hope that everyone out there who lost their jobs at ESPN quickly finds new jobs because I think they're all very talented. And I hope that they find spots because I think that they do really good work.
I'm trying my damn best, man. I am calling former bosses of mine, people I met in the industry, trying to get these people jobs, doing recommendations, et cetera, because I loved, there were 8 of us that were affected, and every single one of us, we're in a Discord chat together. We're trying to help each other. Like we are friendly and we're trying to move forward, and everyone liked working together. There's no malice there. There's definitely some frustration, I think, for some of the people that were not let go from our side of the camp, but nothing that we're going to do anything hateful or wrong. We're just, we're a little bit frustrated, which I think is understandable. But yeah, it's, I want to see those people find good homes because they've been really good to me my entire time working with all of them.
Now, the layoffs that occurred, was this something that there was some forewarning of, or was it one day you walked in and, hey, guess what? You're all without a job?
Well, I'm a reporter, So my gut's been tingling for about 2 months now, if I'm perfectly honest, since before Worlds. I had a couple different meetings in which I basically got the sense that they were evaluating how much money we made versus how much money we lost. And that when that sort of discussion starts happening, I'm just like, there's a reason this conversation is happening right now. And I will be frank also, like, I don't mind saying this, like, I boycotted that Wake Up World show. I did not want to participate in it because I was not happy about the way that it was being handled internally from a reputation perspective. I felt that leadership did not care about how participating in something like that could affect the reputation of the talent that would be participating and be on the screen. You know, it's one thing to be a producer of the show behind a camera. There's another to be the person in front of it and endorse the way that it was happening. And look, I get they did nothing legally wrong. They didn't. But that doesn't matter. That's, again, understanding the audience and the fact that the audience, you know, Avalie May is a beloved figure in this audience. I like her. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be working with her fairly soon. But all that to say, like, I was really disappointed with how that all went down. Yeah. And I think some of my colleagues were too, but we felt like we couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Other than what I did, which, by the way, was like, I knew then I was probably toast, even if not, you know, even if everybody else lived, I knew I was probably toast by doing that.
Mm-hmm. I really respect you for doing that. Going into your free agency, I guess, what qualities are you looking for in a publication? What do they need to have? Is it creative freedom? Do they have to just pay you mungo dollars? What are the things that you're looking for these other publications?
So I'm not going to be writing anything during free agency. I'll be, or you mean my free agency? I thought you meant League's free agency. And my free agency. It's weird to call it that.
I know, right?
My free agency. Money is not the priority. Look, I don't want to make less than I made at ESPN, and I've got several offers on the table that make the ESPN salary look fractionable. We'll put it that way. So, but like, money's not everything to me. I think I really want to find somewhere that is one or two things. Either already has people in place from a journalism perspective to help make me grow, or gives me a blank canvas to go hire those people and lets me go find them. Esports or not, right? Like, yeah. even if they're from tech or politics or whatever, right? Like, as long as they're willing to come into this industry and like give it their all, I'm cool with that. And so for me, like, guidance is most important. And whether those people already exist or whether those people are people I have to go hire from somewhere else, like, that's what's most important to me. And that's kind of the offers that we are taking the most seriously right now. That's what they're having to offer. And I think that that's really exciting. But yeah, it's not just like write me a fat paycheck, because honestly, like, I had a job offer a few years ago that was much more higher than ESPN, and I said no because I thought ESPN was the better gig at the time, 2 years ago. So, or 2.5 years ago. So, and I made the right choice, even with how it ended.
Mm-hmm. So I guess moving on from that, we can talk a little bit about the free agency show, if you're okay with that. I think a lot of people were disappointed that it got canceled. I think it did really well last year, and I was actually really looking forward to it this year. What are the plans that you're planning on doing with this free agency show? You briefly mentioned it, the Evil Genius thing. Can you give us some more details on that?
So Thomas Tichio and myself, Thomas is a former ESPN producer who was affected by the layoffs. We have both terminated with ESPN, and we are no longer ESPN employees. We are partnering as independent contractors with Evil Geniuses and their production team and social teams to create Jacob Wolf's Evil League of Legends free agency show presented by AT&T. Thank you, AT&T, for paying the bills. The show will be at the same time. It will be on Monday at, I believe it is 6 p.m. Eastern time, because the free agency opens at 7. First hour, that's going to be me and our host, which I can't say yet because we're still trying to nail it all down, but I'm very excited. And then we will have a 3-hour sort of main show, which will be our host and our 2 analysts. Again, I don't think I can announce those yet, but those are pinned down. And I'm also really excited. I chose them. Those are my people. And not Tyler and Emily, although I do want to be clear. I gave the opportunity for that to happen and they preferred not to, which I respect. I just didn't want to cut them out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like me, they were under contract, so they have to forfeit some things, which made sense. But yeah, so we'll have the 3-hour show, which will start on the hour as the clock ticks down. When the clock ticks down, free agency is open. Wolf bombs are a go. I expect to break many stories this year. There are a lot of movement that I've been hearing behind the scenes that I think will happen Monday night. And then as I break them, our host and analyst will break down sort of their thoughts on it, run through some pre-produced segments in terms of like certain free agents that we want to look at and certain things happening within the scene, having these really high level conversations that will almost assuredly be interrupted by me and a wolf owl. But that's okay. That's the plan. That's how it ran last year. And while this is a completely different show and we have redone it top to bottom this week, just to be clear, because we didn't want to infringe on anything ESPN related. We've cut everything brand new. We've made our own graphics. We've made our own animations. This has been a busy ass week since we figured out we could do this. And so, yeah, I'm really thrilled. And Evil Geniuses, I know a lot of people are going to go like, why are you partnering with the team? We had a couple different opportunities with media companies, but perfectly frank, like, there were some that wanted a little bit more of a commitment out of me than I was willing to give. I still wanted to remain a non-exclusive independent contractor that could freelance if I wanted to over the next 2 months. I still think I'm aiming for the original timeline of like taking a job in January. Yep. I want to take some time off. I think I deserve it after the past 4.5 years with very little time off. And so to me, like, that's why Evil Geniuses made the most sense. To me, like they're coming in and they're helping us really build this top to bottom. I'm incredibly stoked for it, and their entire creative team, social team, project management team, like half of the Evil Geniuses staff is on a call with us every day, which is awesome. Their dedication to this is fantastic, and they're not telling us how to do things. They're not trying to tell me how to do my job. They're not trying to tell Thomas as the director and executive producer how to do his job. They are asking us questions. They are taking our feedback and they're iterating on it. And I appreciate the living hell out of that. So shout out to the team that's been working with us.
Awesome. That sounds wonderful. I'm really looking forward to that. My last question for you, do you have any thoughts or last words you want to give your fans, readers, or supporters out there?
You know, the outpouring of support has been really overwhelming, and I'm really appreciative of it over the past few days since I've gone through all these ups and downs since last Friday. You know, I think that it's one thing to know that you're good at your job and think you do a good job. It's another for someone to tell you that. And I'll be honest, without that uplifting of support, I'd probably be a little down in the dumps, even if I knew I had a bright future ahead of me. So hearing, you know, my readers and people in my Discord and people on Twitter telling me how much they love my work and how appreciative they are that it exists in this industry, in droves, like hundreds and hundreds of people, that is incredibly uplifting. I've had the opposite, where people have told me that they've hated me very, very sternly, and that sucks. But this is a really good feeling. It makes me kind of like on a high going into next week and the show. So I did this for you guys. I forwent very secure employment with lots of benefits for the next 2 months to do what I'm about to do. And I hope we knock your socks off.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jacob, for the interview. I appreciate it. For everyone out there, this has been 15 Minutes in Esports. Hopefully you enjoyed this. And until next time, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye. Oh, hello there. I hope you enjoyed this video, so please make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. Shout out to all my Patreons who support me. If you're looking to support me, you can find my Patreon at patreon.com/improvblake. You can also find me streaming throughout the week at twitch.tv/improvblake.